All right, thank you so much. This is the Arise 777. I'm sure some of you will be wondering why you have this on. I mean, it's masked, so we are encouraging ourselves to mask ourselves. And the important thing is for us to do it because we are looking at relationships. You have to make sure if you want to give a very good, positive relationship with others, make sure when you go into public, you use your mask or socially distance, wash your hands under running water, make sure you use hand sanitizer if you don't have soap there. But we recommend soap as the key. Okay. So thank you all very much. Thank you for following me on YouTube. We want to apologize for coming your way, for not coming your way last week. Okay. Forgive us, so many things to do. But I promise you, we'll always make sure that on our Rise 777, we will do everything possible to help you become all that God has created you to be, particularly as we move through COVID and beyond COVID. We started by looking at, relationships, because we believe that under Arise 777, we believe that every individual can arise to his maximum potential if he pays attention to his attitude. That's one. So we've spent some time looking at attitude. Go back to the old episode and please listen to it carefully. And then we began by looking at relationships, because the relationship with God, relationship with individuals, relationship with your peers, relationship with your subordinates, relationship with your superiors, all are very important. And finally, relationship with yourself. So what we are using is Relationship 101 by John Maxwell, my mentor. Okay, so please take care, make sure that you are following through. So we began by looking at the nature of relationship, and we asked the question, why are relationships important to success? So go back and then please refer to the videos and watch them. And then we also ask ourselves the second question, what do I need to know about others? And there are very important things you need to know about people. If you want to live with people, work with people, there are things you need to know. Then we moved on to the part 2 and then looked at the building blocks, some of the building blocks of relationship according to Leadership 101 or Relationship 101. And we asked ourselves, how can I encourage others? So see good in people, value people, and encourage them. And then how can I connect with people? That's what we looked at 2 weeks ago. Today, we want to spend the rest of our time looking at how can I become a better listener. Now, how can you become a better listener? How can I become a better listener? Now, all this is a learning curve for all of us, okay? How can I become a better listener? Relationship has to do with listening, whether at home or at church or at a grocery store or at work, okay? Whatever it is, or even with business partners, listening is one of the key. So look at it. Look at this quote. Let's begin with this quote in the material, in the book. It says, treat every person as if he or she were the most important person in the world. Now, with all this kind of racism things that is happening all around us, if all of us will even just live our lives by this, let me quote it one more time. It's unknown, nobody, but so I'm sure your Maxwell pulled it out somewhere. Okay, it says, treat every person as if he or she were the most important person in the world, particularly when it comes to talking, okay, dialoguing, speaking with a person. Can I go back again? Treat every person as if he or she were the most important person in the world. Can you imagine how the world would be like if we treated each individual, each person as the most important, particularly when we are speaking or talking to one another at that particular material moment, if we pay attention to do that. Okay, so as part of the introduction, okay, let's look at Edgar Weston Howard once joked. This is a joke that that Edgar came about with. Okay, and so I quote: "No man would listen to you talk if he didn't know it was his turn next." Unquote. No one. You see, so most of the time the temptation is that The reason we are listening to people is so that they will finish and then we'll also come in and talk. but that shouldn't be. Unfortunately, that accurately describes the way too many people approach communication. John will say they are too busy waiting for their turn to really listen to others. You see, in listening, we have to learn when it comes to dealing with people, whether partners or marriage partners, business partners, colleagues, subordinates, superiors, peers, whatever. The important thing is for us to pay the price to listen. So you listen to understand than to be understood. Let me say one more time. My name once again is Pastor De-Graft. Say listen to understand than to be understood. Okay, so it's very, very, very significant. And this is the Arise 777. And we believe that each individual can arise to his maximum potential, become all that God is created him to be if he pays attention not only to his attitude, but to his relationship. And when it comes to relationship, one of the fundamental things, skills, I believe is so, skills that we have to cultivate is the skills of listening. And I trust that by the time we end this, you will have gained some skills, or we would have added value to you, challenged you, encouraged you to add the skill of listening to your tools of skills. Okay, so thank you very much. Okay, but he says successful people understand the incredible value of becoming a good listener, and I hope you will do that. So the ability to skillfully listen is the foundation to building positive relationships with others. Okay, the ability to skillfully. So listening is a skill that ought to be acquired. Okay, listening is a skill that ought to be acquired by every individual who wants to be great, who wants to be successful, who wants to excel. You need to do it. Listening. And sometimes we all fall short. We need to do it. So the ability to skillfully listen is the foundation to building positive relationships with others. So when Lyndon B. Johnson was a junior senator from Texas, he kept a sign on his office wall that read, you want to hear what the sign was? It's office wall. I quote, okay, you aren't learning nothing when you are doing all the talking, unquote. You are not learning anything when you are doing all the talking, unquote. Let me say it one more time. You see, we are talking about listening. This is Arise 777. My name is Pastor De-Graft. It's always exciting for me because my mission and reason for being is to help people navigate through life successfully without losing their faith in Christ. And one of the key things is listening. Listening to people, listening to dying people, listening to the wind, listening to creation, listening to nature, listening. Leaders are not just learners, leaders are also listeners. So leaders listen. They listen to the people. They listen to the friends. They listen to the board. They listen. Okay, they listen. They listen. Then when you listen, you will succeed. So look at it. It says, so this is Johnson, okay, who was once a senator, and it says, okay, or senator of Texas, you aren't learning nothing when you are doing all the talking. So let's keep that, okay? Let's keep that at the back of our minds, okay? So, and then Woodrow Wilson also said, the 28th American president once said, the ear of the leader must ring with the voices of the people, unquote. The ears of the leader. How sometimes we read this and study this and realize that, oh God, please forgive us. I mean, there's so many mistakes that we have made, or maybe we are even still making. But we are looking at relationship. How do we become very, very great, good listeners so we will know how to work with people, live with people, work together with people to fulfill our destinies? All right. Wow. So that's a powerful introduction there by John Maxwell, quoting all this former president, the senator, and with all the ideas that they brought. Don't forget, treat every person as if he or she were the most important person in the world. Can I add something? At the moment of conversation, In the moment, let me cut everything so make it in the moment. So in the moment, give the person your full attention. I'm sure we'll come to the details, but let's look at few points here before we sign off and then continue next week. Okay, is that okay? According to relationship 101, we want to look at the value of listening. You see, is there any value in listening? And I'm sure there are thoughts going on in your mind. And straight away, you could also say, look, if you pay attention and listen very carefully, you avoid a lot of fightings, confusions, okay, misunderstanding. If you listen to understand than to be understood, or just waiting for your turn to also jump in and talk, I'm sure there are so many things that you will avoid. So let's look at a few from Relationship 101. Okay. First of all, these are the benefits. One, listening shows respect. You see, when you are talking with somebody and you are listening, you are talking to somebody and the person recognizes that you are listening to him, listening means respect. Listening, so okay, listening is equal to respect. Okay. Listening is equal to building relationships. So when you are listening, you are building relationships. Listening is equal to increasing your knowledge. So when you are listening, you are increasing your knowledge. In other words, you are positioning yourself, okay, to better understand what is going on. Then listening also is equal to the creation of ideas. Because when you listen to people, you create ideas, you gain more ideas, you gain ideas. And then listening is equal to loyalty. In other words, when you listen and pay attention, when people are talking, you are building loyalty with them. Is that okay? Okay, so listening builds loyalty. Okay, listening builds loyalty. Listening is also a great way to help others and help yourself. You see, listening is a great way to help others and help yourself. This is Arise 777. So let's pick up a few and then we'll come. I mean, this Arise 777 is 777 because we want to make sure that with every episode, we actually will spend about 21 minutes just unfolding and trying to add value to you. As part of the John Maxwell certification team, our goal, our reason of existence is to serve people, love people, add value to people because we believe that people carry potential, so helping them fulfill that potential. Listening is key. So value, number one, listening shows respect. So a mistake that people often make in communicating is trying very hard to impress the other person. Don't go there and try impressing people, okay? They try to make themselves appear smart, witty, or entertaining. But if you want to relate well to others, you have to be willing to focus on what they have to offer. Okay? So be impressed and interested, not impressive and interesting. Let me pause. I like John Maxwell because he knows how to play around with words. He does this so well that I don't really want to mix it up. Be impressed and interested. Okay, so when you are talking with somebody, be impressed about the person and be interested in the person rather than trying yourself to be impressive and interesting. Poet philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson acknowledged, every man I met is in some way my superior and I can learn of him. Every man I met is in some way my superior and I can learn from him, unquote. Remember that a lesson and the lines of communication will really always open up. So communication shows respect. Number two, listening builds relationships. It builds it up. Okay, Dale Carnegie, Dale Carnegie, I mean, how to live with people and influence people. Okay, so author of How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie, he advised, and I quote, you can make more friends in 2 weeks by becoming a good listener than you can in 2 years trying to get people interested in you, unquote. Let me quote it one more time. You and I can make more friends in 2 weeks by becoming a good listener than you can be in 2 years trying to get people interested in you. When it comes to relationship, try as much as possible, particularly on cultivating the skill of listening. Let us all learn to listen people, okay? Be interested in people, okay? Let us focus on them impressing us than us going out there to seek to impress them and then to be interesting, it'll backfire. I like it. I like it. Carnegie was incredibly gifted at understanding relationships. So any book that he's written, please, when you get to read it, he recognized that people who are self-focused and who talk about themselves and their concerns all this time rarely develop strong relationship with others. How do you feel when you are talking, engaged in a conversation with somebody, and the person is just talking about himself, his work and his money and his progress and his interest, and it's not? How do you feel around such a person? David Schwartz noted in The Magic of Thinking Big, his book, in the book, The Magic of Thinking Big, he noted, quote, big people monopolize the listening. Small people monopolize the talking. Big people monopolize the listening. Small people monopolize the talking, unquote. So anytime you engage in relationship and talking to people, please learn to be, okay, not a big person. Just talking. Relax, pause, and listen. Why? Because big people monopolize the listening. So go out there, monopolize the listening. So by becoming a good listener, you are able to connect with others on more levels and develop stronger, deeper relationship because you are meeting a need. And every person has a need. Once they know that you are interested, truly, genuinely interested in them, they will yield and give you the best. So author C. Neil Straight pointed out that, and I quote, everyone needs someone who he feels really listens to him, unquote. Everyone, I need, you need. So let's go out there and do exactly that. This is Arise 777. We are looking at how can we become better listeners. And the textbook we are using is John Maxwell's book, Relationship 101. Please look for it. Go to John Maxwell's website, buy the book, okay, read it for yourself. Keep it over and over again, and your life will never be the same. Particularly as we move beyond COVID-19. So listening, build relationship. I think we can pick up one because we've looked at 6 things, benefits that listening do. So let's pick up the last one, and then we'll continue from next week. We are not here to finish, okay? We will just quit when the time is up. So we go chew on it, meditate on it, and then practice it. So whatever we are doing, please listen, practice it, and then the following week we'll come back and continue. So listening increases knowledge. So what have we done? We are looking at the value of listening, and we've said listening shows respect. When I'm talking to somebody who knows you are listening, shows respect. 2, listening builds relationships. I want to look at the final one. Listening increases knowledge. So Wilson Misner said, and I quote, a good listener is not only popular everywhere, but after a while, he knows something, unquote. Yeah, I like it too. John Maxwell, my mentor, I mean, he does a lot of research with all people and then brings it down. So very important. Wilson Misner said, a good listener is not only popular everywhere, but after a while, he knows something, unquote. So what we are saying is that listening increases your knowledge. You know, there are some people, they walk around you and they pretend like they know everything. They wouldn't learn anything. If whether the person is a child or an adult or whatever, you always, when you listen, you learn something. So listening increases knowledge. Let's go out there and increase our knowledge. Okay, it's amazing how much you can learn about your friends and family, your job, the organization you work in, and yourself when you decide to really listen to others. It is amazing how much you can learn, how much I can learn about Corona, about coronavirus, about countries, about economy, about whatever, about investment, about the stock market, about whatever. It's amazing what you can learn about church, about Christ, about if you learn to listen. Okay, but the sad thing is that it's not everyone. Okay, but not everyone, but not everyone clues into this benefit. It's not everyone who clues into it, who acknowledges it. It's not everyone, and that is sad. For example, John Maxwell gives us this story. He says, I once heard a story about a tennis pro, who was giving a lesson to a new student. a tennis pro. After watching the novice take several swings at his tennis ball, okay, the pro stopped in and suggested, look at what he said. He suggested ways that he could improve his stroke. But each time he did, the student interrupted him, gave a different opinion of the problem, and stated how it should be solved. After several interruptions, the pro began to nod his head in agreement. You understand? Okay. So when the lesson ended, a woman who had been watching said to the pro, "Why did you go along with that arrogant man's stupid suggestions?" Oh, good. Why? The pro smiled and replied, "I learned a long time ago that it is a waste of time to try to sell real answers to anyone who just wants to buy echoes." Oh, good. Oh my goodness, we are talking about listening. It is 2:22, so we are past our time. So please, let's go out there and do it. So let me just finish it up. Just take 2 minutes and then end it. Is that okay? Beware of putting yourself into a position where you think you know all the answers. Beware. Anytime you do, you will be putting yourself in danger. It's almost impossible to think of yourself as, in quote, the expert and continue growing and learning at the same time. All great learners are great listeners. My name is Pastor De-Graft. This is Arise 777, and we've been looking at how do we become great and better listeners. So I want to leave you with these 3 things. Please make sure that these 3 benefits are key. Practice them, and then next week, God willing, will come your way and continue with that. I hope and trust that we've added some value to you. Go out there and be a good listener. By that way, building your relationship as we go beyond COVID-19, so your life will never be the same. God wants to use you, want to bless you, but He wants to do it through people. Arise 777. You can arise when you pay attention to your attitude, your relationship, your integrity, your security or spirituality if you're a person of faith. And finally, when you pay attention to excellence. God bless you, and I'll see you same time. Bye-bye.